Welcome back, Stoner Squad, and thank you for joining me for an announcement video. So, I have been watching PDXCON, and I know you have as well, keeping tabs on what the new game announcement was going to be. Now, I do think a lot of people did guess the game, and I did call it out, maybe not publicly, but I did guess the game they did showcase, or not, they're not showcased it, but the game that they did kind of announce. And it is Victoria 3. Now, I know there is a lot of people super excited for this game. And from what I gather, I mean, I've never played it. I've never played Vicky 2. And I have absolutely no idea what it is like. I've never ever touched it before. But anyway, as for all kind of Paradox releases, I'm always super excited about them. And yeah, I'm very intrigued about this, honestly. From what I gather, it's a very cult game. I mean, it's got a dedicated, hardcore fan base that still actually play Vicky 2. And I know they are all very excited for Vicky 3. But anyway, let's get into the meaty stuff. Now, of course, they've released the Dev Diary 0, so the very first one. And we are going to kind of go through this and see what everything is going to be said. And then, of course, I do want to showcase you some pictures. And there is some, like, very first early kind of development stage pictures that are out here that we can definitely check out. And we'll check all this out together. But yeah, I'm very intrigued by this. Really intrigued. I wouldn't say I'm as excited as everyone else. Because, again, I've never, ever played Victoria. And I have no real idea what to expect. I've heard a few things here and there, notably that it has incredible pop management. That is one of the main things that comes out when I hear people talk about Vicky 3. And yeah, I'm very, very intrigued. But anyway, let's delve right into this. So, hello everybody. Yes, you are seeing this right. No, this isn't a belated April Fool's joke. After all these years and these memes, Victoria 3 is finally confirmed at last. I'm Martin Wiz Anwood, the game director of Vicky 3. And it's my absolute pleasure to finally be able to reveal what I've been working on since 2018, around the time I stepped down as game director of Stellaris. Okay, so it's been in the works since 2018. So, 3 years already. That's a long time. And considering it's been in the works since 2018, you would suspect that it's not that far away to be released. I would suspect. I don't know, maybe at the end of 2021? Maybe. I mean, that may be a little bit pushing it, but it seems like it's been going on for quite a while, so I am slightly expecting this to be released sooner rather than later. So what then is Victoria 3? So I can start by telling you it's most definitely a proper Victoria game, namely a game with a core focus on economy, politics, and internal country management, and with the iconic Victoria pop system, not just included as a core mechanic, but made even deeper than in either of its predecessors. So again, this kind of confirms to me the only really thing that I actually know about Victoria, and it's incredibly detailed pop management. And that's essentially what is kind of telling us that the core focus of this game is going to be economy, politics, internal country management, and the iconic Victoria pop system will be at the heart of this. Again, I know there's going to be a lot of people super excited by this, and I do apologise if I don't come across as overjoyed or as overexcited as people would expect me to be, but again, I've never ever played a Vicky game, so I literally have no idea what to expect. I have experience with Paradox Grand Strategy games, and of course, I mean, having this experience, then, I mean, I should be able to kind of fathom a small perception of what the game is going to be like. But again, I've never played it, so I'm more intrigued than excited, really. And I like everybody, we all want a release date, don't we? It's like the first thing when there's a game announcement, you want that release date, and hopefully we will be getting that sooner rather than later. But again, it's been in the works since 2018, so yeah, I'm more optimistic about it being released sooner rather than later. Anyway, though Victoria 3 is its own game and not an iteration of Victoria 2, our ambition is to create a worthy successor that stays true to the core values of the Victoria series, while using what we have learned over the last decade in terms of making games more accessible, so that we can use that accessibility to build an even deeper game for old and new players alike. Okay, well, in this paragraph, I kind of get the feel that they want to kind of do what they did to CK3, make it more accessible to a general player base, I suppose. Not make it easier, but just make it more accessible. And I reckon that they're going to obviously put in the tooltips they've had. They put in CK3, that amazing tooltip system, which I think works fantastically, especially if you are completely new to Paradox games. That tooltip is awesome, and it does save a lot of time for people who kind of want to quickly navigate through menus, find out what everything is. So it looks like they're going to be making it more accessible to everybody. Again, I don't know what exactly Vicky 2 was like. I mean, the information that I've gathered, this is from what people have been telling me and what I've read, is that it is a pretty difficult, complex Paradox game, notably to master. And I mean, I think other people and other players do like this element of complexity that the Paradox games have, because they all have this steep learning curve, and we all enjoy that. And hopefully, like older kind of Paradox players or old people who've been playing these Paradox titles for longer can still have this steep learning curve, and hopefully they can also kind of mix that with some kind of, I don't know, easy sort of navigating interface and making it a little bit like more accessible, I would say, for complete newcomers, and trying to bring in some more people in. So hopefully they're going to be able to strike a decent balance with this. And it's something that I think is going to be critical for this game. They need to be able to strike the balance of kind of making the hardcore Vicky players happy and the people who've been around Paradox games for so long happy, also while making it fairly accessible so they can try and bring in some new people to get more people playing Paradox games. So hopefully that will be a success. I'm hoping so. God knows that Paradox need it. They cannot afford to have a horrible launch. That is something that they need to really work on. Again, I said it's been like in the works since 2018. Which made me kind of speculate a little bit that I think the release will be sooner rather than later. But if it has to be later, I would rather it be later, so they kind of take the time in order to make sure it's all released in the state that we need the next Paradox game to be. I don't think they can afford another mistake. They can't afford another Imperial Rome launch. That is something they can't afford to do. We all know what happened with Imperial Rome. I mean, I love the game. The game is awesome. It's my favourite Paradox game, period. But we all know the damage it did to Imperator, and then the direct consequence of that launch, which 2 years down the line was to kind of put it on the back burner for a while. So hopefully that is not going to be the case here. I'm really crossing my fingers for this. Anyway, our vision for Victoria 3 is to create what we call a society sim, a game that is first and foremost about internal workings of the 19th century country that you are playing and how its society is shaped over the course of the game. Politics, economy, and diplomacy are the three most important parts of the game. Wars, of course, are part of the game, just as they were in part of Victorian Age, but Victoria 3 is not a war game or a game about map painting. Okay, this is fairly interesting. So it looks like the kind of core aspect, or like the core kind of focus, is like managing your society. They're trying to make this from, well, what I gather from this paragraph. Again, this is all coming from a total newbie to Victoria style games, so I honestly don't really know what I'm talking about, to be honest. It's kind of go with the flow. But it looks like they're not going to try and make it a map painter where you just kind of conquer A to B quickly and spread your glorious colour across the map. Kind of more of a society management game, and I do like these type of games, and it's like kind of trying to make a parallel to Imperial Rome. I mean, Victoria 3 and Imperial Rome are completely different games, and they're are definitely going to be completely different games based on what we're reading with the like kind of dev diary here and what we know with Vicky 2 and Imperial. Completely different things, but the thing that I kind of like about not just having a map painter is like pot management, and that is what I like in Imperial Rome. And if there's any kind of form of pot management that's in Vicky, I mean, I'm going to like it. I mean, God's sake, I love pot management. I love managing my pops. I love kind of seeing what they do, what they contribute. How can I make more of such and such pops? How can I make my pops be of a certain culture, spread it all around? It's all fantastic, and it's something that I really like to do. And it seems to be with Vicky 3, at least anyway, that it's going to be focused a lot on like management, economic management, diplomacy management, politics. I mean, if it's not just a war game or map painting, then you must be able to do your kind of nefarious kind of conquest by diplomatic means, and I'm liking what I'm hearing. I really am. Again, this is just a complete reaction by someone who's never played Vicky. So you hardcore kind of Vicky fans are probably going to be watching this are going to go, no, Dan, what the hell are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about, which I really don't. But this is all the information I can gather from the dev diary. And before you start speculating crazily about what is and what is in the game, there is no mana. Thank God for that. This is probably the most important sentence in the dev diary here, and no mana. No mana is fantastic. I hate mana, I despise mana. Mana is disgusting, it's horrible, it needs to be chucked out the window, burnt forever, lost to oblivion, whatever, everything like that. It just needs to go. Full stop. And I'm glad that they kind of coming straight out like the bat here, and they're saying straight away there's going to be no mana towards it. And that is something that I like. Imperial Rome launched with mana. Again, I'm making a lot of comparisons to Imperial Rome because I play a lot of Imperial Rome. Not that I'm trying to compare the two games at all. That's not really the point. But I mean, Imperial launched with mana, and it was horrible. The mana system. Let's face it, I don't like mana. Even the mana system in EU4, I'm not a major fan of it. So I'm happy that they're not placing any mana, to be honest, which is fantastic. But anyway, now there is going to be a lot of dev diaries going forward to dig into the mechanics of the game, but to wrap up this dev diary, I want to briefly touch on the 4 game design pillars that we've been following when designing and building Victoria 3. So, there's going to be 4 pillars, let's read them. National gardening. So, building, shaping, tweaking, and evolving your nation is the first and foremost focus of the game. Events outside your country's borders can actually affect your country in significant ways, but the game should never rely on war to provide the main source of enjoyment. Again, I think this comes back towards the fact that it stated previously that it's not a war game or a map painter, which I like. I like management. I like internal management. I like external management. I like everything to do with management, managing your pots, managing your economy, managing diplomacy, everything, and all these things interact together, and all that is fantastic. And I love games like this, which is like, it's my cup of tea straight off the bat. I don't know why I never got into Vicky 2. I mean, I'm only a recent. I think it's because I'm a recent Paradox player. I mean, I started playing Paradox games. I think I started playing CK2. That's the game I started playing, and then I got into EU4, and then got into all the others after, but never anything before that. So I'm kind of, compared to a lot of people on the Paradox forums and a lot of the hardcore Paradox fans, I'm a fairly kind of newbie, if you wish, to the studio. So yeah, good. Never relied on war to find main source of enjoyment. Hopefully they're going to be adding the depth in it. I mean, hopefully there's going to be enough depth upon launch to be able to kind of do kind of a load of things. I mean, I like CK3. And again, I'm just kind of trying to compare this to other kind of Paradox games, because it's the only point of reference I have, because again I have no Vicky reference at all. But CK3 on launch was, you know, it's kind of bare bones. It's good, I enjoy it, it's fantastic, but you play one playthrough, you've seen everything, and everything's pretty much done. And hopefully there'll be kind of more stuff in this, because if they want to kind of make it as like managing your country in different ways and having different events that affect your country in different significant ways, then you're going to need to have that level of detail in there at the start in order to be able to do that. And hopefully that is what's going to be done. Anyway, diplomatic eminence. War is a continuation of diplomacy, and everything is achievable by war should also be achievable through diplomacy, even if that diplomacy sometimes comes at the point of a gun. Okay, so at least it's kind of clearly emphasizing the fact that you don't have to always go to war to take what you need. Diplomacy looks like it's going to be a major factor and a major part of Victoria 3, which is good because it gives you different viable alternatives, different kind of ways to go about your objectives, and it's not only kind of go to war with somebody, conquer the land, take it, blah, done. No. Looks like there's going to be more stuff, which is very nice indeed. Everything is political. Politics is at the heart of Vicky 3, and all major features should in some way tie back to the pops and the interest groups from the core of the game's politics. Now, good. Emphasizing the pop system, which again I'm a big fan of pops in Paradox games. The pops in Stellaris, the pops in Impera, and hopefully the pops in Vicky will get me going just as the pops in Impera Rome did, which is fantastic. And I cannot wait to see how these different pops are going to be interacting with the different interest groups, because of course, as we know, Paradox is incredibly detailed. They do like to have pops for different categories, and they all interact with each other. Some things want some things, other pops want other things and such. So it is going to be interesting to see how all of this intertwines together to create the core mechanic of the game, which I think is, honestly, I'm really intrigued by this. Intrigued is the best word I can actually use. Excited, I can't be super excited because I don't know Vicky, but intrigued I definitely am. And finally, era of change. The Victorian era was a time of immense change politically, technologically, culturally, militarily, and societally. And these changes should be reflected in the experience of playing a campaign in Vicky 3. Again, kind of one of the like 4 pillars that he's trying to showcase here is that, I think what I gather from this kind of sort of bullet point would be that your kind of nation fluctuates politically, technologically, culturally, militarily, and socially over time, depending on different things you do, different actions you take, different like kind of types of government, pops, rise, fall, whatever, all that sort of stuff. And it all sounds very, very promising indeed. But that's all for this week. We'll see you next week, and we'll be talking about the return of the Victoria Pop system and the introduction of dependents. I have no idea what dependents would be. I'm guessing that people who are big fans of Vicky 2 will know something to do with this. If you do, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be very interested to find out what dependents are, because at the moment I have absolutely no idea. But so we also have a lot more exciting news to share as we go. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Discord, Paradox Forums, and the official Victoria 3 website to stay up to date. So that's our first dev diary, and I will be covering these as they come out, because I think it's going to be very interesting for me to follow, and hopefully for you, because and like hopefully it'll be interesting for you in terms of seeing someone who's never played Vicky kind of see what the game is essentially going to be about. Because all I've seen about Victoria series is what I've read or what I've heard, and not what I've played, so never played it. I might actually test out Victoria 2 to kind of get the feel for the damn thing, to be honest, because so I don't actually go in blind whenever it does hit. That would be the best thing. But anyway, you can also, by the way, go onto Steam and put the game to your wishlist if you want. Of course, you go to Steam, type in the store, Victoria 3, and you can add it to your wishlist. And there's also some pictures that are out that we're going to take a quick look, some screenshots, very early screenshots, I might add. But we are going to check them out, and again, people who are more experienced to the series, they might see a load of stuff that I'm going to be missing. And again, this is just like a kind of complete newbie looking at it through a lens of someone who's never played Victoria. So the first one, let's have a look at all this stuff. So I just want to double check on my computer if I've got the right kind of screen so you can actually see. That's fine. So we can see part of the map, and it looks fairly cool. Can I zoom in a little bit here? Can't zoom in anymore. So we can see Great Britain, Ireland, see cities on the map spread out, connected by roads, railways, I think. I don't know. You can see harbours. I mean, I'm guessing that these cities kind of evolve and fluctuate as you gain pops there, as you have pop types, as you build stuff. There's obviously going to be buildings in areas. I mean, come on, it's Paradox. We know that they like their buildings. Yeah, it does provide us with a multitude of information. At the bottom down here, honestly, I have absolutely no idea what this is going to be. I'm guessing the hammer is the build thing. Maybe or production, whatever. This has got to be like law or society. Government, this I'm guessing, and this, the horse, would be the military, and this has got to be your economy. I'm guessing like a dollar sign next to or a pound sign, sorry, next to whatever looks like a suitcase or a box. I mean, I don't know what that is. And then this must be the world map icon, and that must be find. I'm guessing this again. The interface does kind of look familiar, even though like you've never played Victoria games. I mean, Paradox UIs and interfaces are all fairly similar. I am getting a bit of an EU vibe interface with this. It does look the text looks very EU-y, I have to say. So does the map actually. But even though it's got like obviously more detail than than EU, but you can it's honestly incredibly familiar, incredibly similar, and you can all see the resemblance between all the games. So we've got the overview of where I think it looks like he selected the county of Dublin here, and in this we can see what type of I'm guessing county it is. See a mine. Again, that must be the type of production here, must be the mines of Dublin. No idea, again, it's just total guesswork, to be honest. And you can see the British market, so the infrastructure, you can see infrastructure usage, market access, gross domestic product, which is pretty cool, taxation, expenses. So a load of info. Again, I have no idea what all this does. We'll be finding this out, I think, as like the dev diaries go along. Buildings, so you can see different building types. Like docks there, must be kind of iron mines, whatever, farms. There's a load of different stuff here. And now in Paradox, so I'm going to be putting a load of buildings. They do like their buildings. And of course, you can see the pops. Turmoil must be like degree of unrest or something. The standard of living, I have no idea what that's going to affect. Maybe you guys can tell me. Any Vicky fans can see anything that they recognise. Please let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested to know what is what, really. Just trying to kind of get to grips with what I'm actually seeing. But you always get a sense of excitement, don't you, when you see kind of screenshots of a new game released by Paradox for the very first time. It kind of gives you a nice warm fuzzy feeling. And then of course you've got struggling, middling and secure. Maybe it is how the pops feel, I have no idea. peasants, the Anana peasants living. Maybe they're the backbone of the economy. I don't know. Then of course got buildings overview information, but we can't see that. Then you've got your outliner, and of course the the time, the day, and the year and the month. I mean, I know that it goes from 1836 to 1936. It spans over a year. Now, for people who may go, oh, it's only hundreds of years long, but it does go day by day, so it kind of prolongs it a lot. So it's longer than it actually looks. And then, of course, you've got your outliner. You have some interest groups here that is soon. Now, these must be political. I'm guessing interest groups have some form of political clout. I mean, I suspect they have some form of clout, and they kind of like ask for things. Maybe like, I mean, you've got the intelligentsia, industrialists. Maybe industrialists want like more industry going on. The armed forces want more power for the military. Rural folk. I mean, there's load of stuff here, and this is going to be super interesting to find out how it all interacts together. And commanders, the commanders of the army. So it looks like, well, they did say there's going to be warfare, so obviously going to be able to fight. Markets. What is the regional markets, international markets, national markets? I mean, what scale are there going to be markets? I mean, I have no idea. Again, I have no idea. Colonies, this is going to be good. At least you're going to have your colonies, which is fantastic, and your states. A load of really cool stuff. Again, it's all early footage under development, so it all is going to be subject to change, of course. But I am really interested to see where this is going to go. The next one, we've got markets of China by the looks of it. And of course, we are in China. This is Hanoi. And what do we have here? So we have the Chinese market 100%. Again, I have no idea what the hell that means. Does it mean that the Chinese market is owned by... I mean, this is... I think they're playing as Hanoi. And that must be the Hanoi flag. I have no idea. Well, no, was it Dainam? No idea what that is. Is that a country? I don't think it's an actual country. Dainam, I have no idea what that is. I really don't. But yeah, this is interesting. So what, is it like 100% Chinese? I have no idea what that really is. Most underproduced, most overproduced. So underproduced goods, I suppose, and overproduced goods. Maybe underproduced goods have like a certain effect on like your economy. Must have an effect on your population. I'm guessing how much the goods cost. And I'm guessing that if you overproduce goods, then of course if you go to sell them, then they're worth like, well, you sell them for less because of course, I'm assuming there's going to be a supply and demand logic in the terms of markets. I mean, any market has supply and demand, so I'm going to guess. In my mind, this is how I'm just thinking as someone who's played a lot of Paradox games, trying to think how they would implement this. But I'm going to be guessing that yeah, there's overproduced goods are going to cost less than underproduced because the demand is going to be higher than the offer. So it might work like that. Trade routes, so you can have trade, cool. So you can actually do trade routes. I don't know how that is going to be. Hopefully, it's not going to be click and collect. I'm not a big fan of that sort of trade system, especially if you go. Well, anyone who plays in Powder Rome will know that the trade system is very kind of abstract. It's abstract. It's not good. I don't like it. It's one of the things that I really wish that they changed. They kind of put it on the back burner, and to get rid from the click and collect. And I don't like that. But I don't also want it to go towards a EU4 style trade system where it's basically stealing money from other people. All it is, you're trying to steal power from a node in EU and to get more money that way and then push it down to your main node. And it's, I mean, I don't really know what I would like to see for the trade. I mean, I could do a video on trade in Paradox games and what would be the best outcome, but it would take me forever and it'll be a super long video. So that is going to be a topic for another time. We can also see interest groups here. Percentage of them, is that the amount of? I mean, I'm guessing since it's a percentage, you can only really go up to 100%, I suppose, and then that 100% is divided into different interest groups, and interest groups make up a certain amount of percentage of your pops or your pop categories, whatever. I don't know. Marginalized groups, that's going to be interesting. Very interesting. Obviously, going to be groups that are going to feel marginalized, and I mean, are they the ones that are the one most likely to rebel or kind of manifest? I have no idea. Commanders, generals, so you can see admirals and stuff. You can see the stats. Is that stats? 10 out of 10? Is that like how many regiments he controls? Maybe I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea how military is going to work in Victoria. I don't know how it worked in Vicky too. So who knows? Well, you obviously know, but I don't. And okay, this is very interesting. What's the next one? Politics. Yay. So what do we have here? We have something called institutions here. And I think, with the institution section, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 institutions with different levels. So I suppose that, I mean, we've got colonial affairs, social security. Well, colonial affairs got to be colony stuff, and currently got like 2 things out of 5. Maybe that's the levels. You spend points, I think. I think it looks like it costs bureaucracy. Or is that to maintain? Or do you need to accumulate a certain amount of these points in order to bang on the investment, then unlock a next level that increases the bonus? Maybe. So 40% colony growth generation speed modifier. So I'm guessing that this colonial affair kind of institution level is at 2, and then it must speed up the rate at which you must found colonies. Social security plus 10% industrialist political strength plus 2 minimum wealth. Workplace safety office. You have mortality rate of labourers match. So this is interesting. So POPs have mortality rates depending on the quality of life. So I think this goes back to the standard of living here. So maybe the standard of living conditions the lifespan of POPs and kind of lowers the mortality rate, I guess, and increases their kind of life expectancy. Maybe if it is the case, that is cool. It really is. Education. It's another institution, so you can definitely work on this. Increases what? Conversion. I have no idea how this works. Education access. What does education do? Maybe certain jobs are needed to be done by more qualified people. Maybe that's something that is going to be done. Maybe in order to operate, I don't know, some sophisticated machinery within the factories, you need to have some kind of educated quartermaster. I mean, maybe. And law enforcement, so this is like your police and stuff, kind of control the POPs and stuff. It all kind of ties into POP management, and it does look very nice indeed. I wonder what this is like. Is that how much? Number of investment levels 8. I mean, can you have a maximum of 8 and then you have to spread them out, or do you have to kind of unlock more by building up this bureaucracy power cost? I mean, who knows? All very intriguing. We're obviously going to get more within the dev diaries, so I can't wait for more, actually. I love dev diaries. You get a nice tingling sensation when you have them. Anyway, politics. So, of course, it's going to be representing the political section of of the game. Again, these, you can see, again, we've got all these kind of outliners here, so that's got to be... Is this politics? It is in the same tab. It is. So this is the politics section at the top, and this is in the same tab on the overview now. Okay. I'm guessing it's politics, economy, industry, trade, maybe, military, diplomacy, ideas, I think. There's got to be unrest or culture, or POPs, maybe this. And there's got to be education, learning, technology, something to do with that. So this is the overview. So I'm going to do a basic overview of the... of what? You've got, well, of course, you've got your ruler, and then you've got your government that forms. So, of course, depending on the country you're playing, you have a different government type and stuff. So that's going to be that's going to be interesting to see how this changes depending on your playing. Here it's William of Hanover, so it's king. It's Hanover. That's of course in Germany. And what is all this? Cloud and stuff. This is chief election result. So so it must be a constitutional monarchy then. King William of Hanover managed his government. Next election. So yeah, this must be constitutional monarchy then. Government legitimacy. Okay, Anglican Church, rural folk. Is this the people in government? Or is this the political kind of groups that are actually in government? Do we have Anglican Church members and rural folk in Parliament? I have no idea. And then you have the opposition. So you can see what intelligentsia, petite bourgeoisie, industrialist, land gentry, armed forces. Yes, it looks like the POPs all kind of amount into different kind of groups. I mean, or this must be the groups of the kind of elite, I'm guessing. So intelligentsia, the kind of the academic class, petite bourgeoisie, which would be the middle class, or I say brackets middle class. Industrialist, landed gentry must be the kind of nobility, I wish. Of course, the armed forces, so the commanders and generals. This is very intriguing. There's a lot to dissect. It's actually the total number of population, 18.3 million. It'll be interesting to see how they represent that total number and how they spread it through different POPs. Are POPs going to be individual, like in Imperial Rome, like in Stellaris, or are they going to be kind of bulked together? I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. Again, I think in the dev diary next week they say that they talk about pops. So that'd be interesting to keep an eye on that. And finally, the last one, we've got Turkey. This is a Turkish flag. Adana, this is on the Anatolian coast. And what do we have here? So just kind of like, we have a city, or the main kind of city. And it looks like you have like sub kind of urban entities that surround it. Now, is the map going to be split into counties? It's going to be split into regions? I mean, how does that work? That's also another question that we can actually ask ourselves. How is the map split? How's that going to work? Provinces, counties, territories? I mean, that's also going to be an interesting question. Is the game focused like on urban centres, which around them you can have like rural and different kind of, I don't know, centres that are like emerge around these cities? I mean, here we can have like the main city, and you've got the dock, and then you've got some kind of farming rural area on the outside here. And can you build these? Are they already fixed on the map? Can you expand it? Again, all questions that I want the answer to, but I don't have the answer to. See buildings as well. Looks like I've got what's that, a university or something? I have no idea. Honestly, it's cool. Hey, I really want to learn more now. I wish I had more dev diaries. I really do. I want more. But when I was speaking about states, like territories, provinces, regions, whatever, it looks like it's split into states. And maybe in these states you have multiple kind of territories that kind of fit into these states. Like we've got, for example, I don't know, we have Thrace and 1.6 million. That must be the amount of population that live in that state. And maybe in the state you've got different territories that make up the state. And all these pops in, like the state makes up the number. And all this then adds up into the total population. I mean, obviously, that must be how it works. Again, this market, 100% Turkish market, I don't know. I mean, is efficiency? Is it what? What is that 100%? I want to know. I really want to know. I mean, what's this over here? Is this a fishing boat over on this side? What is that? Can you like build stuff on resources? I don't know. What is that number 4? And what's that 8? I want more info. But anyway, that's all I have time for here. This is a pretty long one, actually. I was only intended to make this as a 10-15 minute video, but I've rambled on for 32 goddamn minutes, which is way longer than I thought I would be rambling on about. But anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you guys are looking forward to this as well. Again, I'm more intrigued than excited. Again, this is all through the lens of someone who's never played any Vicky games, so it's going to be watched by me with a lot of intrigue, and I'm very looking forward to the extra dev diaries that are going to be popping up within the coming weeks. But anyway, I'm very interested to hear what you guys think. Are you excited that Vicky 3's been announced? Are you disappointed it's been announced? Would you like it to have been another game announced instead of this? I mean, please let me know in the comments below. And of course, I've been talking about all this stuff and what I've been seeing on the screenshots from the perspective of someone who's never played it. If you know any information, if you're a Vicky 2 hardcore expert fan who's played it forever, and you can see a load of stuff that you know what it is, please let me know. Please put it in the comments. I really want to find out more and as much as I can about what we have been shown. I will be making this into a weekly series where I just go through the dev diaries with you all and we kind of dissect it and see what is what. Just because I want to keep you guys up to date and I want to keep myself up to date. And if I can keep myself up to date, then why not share it with all of you? And finally, is it something you would like to see on the channel? I will definitely be covering it, Vicky 3. I definitely will. It is a Paradox game and my channel is essentially based around Paradox games. It's what I started off with. And of course, I'm kind of play other games as well. I play whatever tickles me fancy, but I do play mostly Paradox games. Yeah, I'm really, really intrigued. So let me know what you think. Anyway, as per usual, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video or just enjoyed me talking about this through the lens of someone who has no idea what he's talking about, then of course, please hit that like button. And if you want to, of course, like content on the channel and stuff, then also please do consider subscribing to the channel. I do CK3, Imperial Rome, and like other games are stated. It really does help the channel. And with all that said and done, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll hopefully catch you all in the next one. Bye for now.